What's going on, everybody? It's Jessica Ray. Thank you so much for joining me yet once again. I am, as always, super duper excited to be bringing you all another one, particularly tonight because we are going to be talking about boundaries. Oh, yes, boundaries. When I say that word, what comes to mind? Does relationships come to your mind? Business acquaintances? What you allow and what you disallow? What you've set up in your life to determine as being okay and what you have said is not okay? What are you thinking about? What you have suffered at the hands of other people and what you have permitted to happen to you, or what you've been a victim of, right? All of this should be flooding your mind when you think of boundaries, because this is exactly what boundaries is all about. It's what you disallow and what you allow, who you allow in your sphere and who has to stay back, right? It's what you have predetermined is okay for your world. Well, let's go a little deeper. Let's talk about 5 reasons why we need boundaries. Last time we talked about people pleasing symptoms. We talked about people pleasing syndrome. Well, this is right in that vein of why we need to be careful how we deal with people and how people deal with us. All right, y'all, let's go. So the first reason why boundaries are important is because it teaches people how to treat you. If you don't teach people how to treat you, how will they ever know? It's so important that we be the teacher and don't let people figure it out on their own. Don't leave it to chance, because all of that chance and all that people figuring you out involves a lot of hurt. It involves a lot of pain that is unnecessary, for real. If we could just teach people from the get-go who we are, what we allow, what we disallow, by saying the word no and by saying the word yes, by meaning what we say and saying what we mean, by speaking the truth in love, by being on purpose about what I show you, then that way people will understand. It's like you won't get a misunderstanding. When people misunderstand you, it's because you've left it up to their own interpretation. And as usual, people will push the boundaries, right? People push. This is what human nature is about. So we don't want people pushing our boundaries. We want to let people know up front, not by necessarily what you say, but how you act, how you portray yourself, right? This is them getting to know you by how you walk in this world, right? Your disposition will let people know everything they need to know about you. You don't have to, if the time comes for you to speak up, definitely speak up, because that'll train that person on what's appropriate for you and what's not. But a lot of the times it goes without saying. It's how I show you, how I carry myself, right? I carry myself a certain way that allows the world to see how I think of myself. It allows you to see what I think of me. So it is my job to make sure I think highly of myself. It is my job to make sure that I have good self-esteem and that I know my worth, right? That I have dignity and I walk tall and I walk with honor. That way I'll retain honor. So it's like you have to do the inner homework first before you teach people how to treat you. Otherwise, you're back to what we were talking about, people pleasing, right? Having the people pleasing syndrome and symptoms and allowing people to abuse who you are. So definitely teach people how to treat you, not necessarily always by what you say, but how you behave in front of them. Next, boundaries create rules. Just like in every game, y'all ever played board games? You have to read the rules first. If you don't read the rules, there's going to be chaos and every player is just pretty much going to do what they want. This is the same thing, the same when it comes to boundaries. People need to know the rules, and first you have to know your own rules. So important. If you break a rule, that means that you get a penalty, right? If somebody continues to break a rule, that means that they're out. Same thing with your life. I always hear this great saying. I've heard Oprah say it. You should know a person. If they show you who they are the first time, believe them. When people show you who they are the first time, believe them. Don't give people multiple chances to abuse your love. And I'm not saying don't have grace and don't forgive. Of course, you want to have grace, you want to forgive. But what I'm saying is avoid a whole lot of having to forgive because you have set up these boundaries. And then you have taught people how to treat you, and you've created some rules of engagement. So no, you're not getting ready to borrow my car, especially because I don't trust you. No, you are not coming to the party with me dressed like that. No, you cannot call me and gossip. Oh no, you're not going to borrow $100 because I know you're not going to pay it back. And no, you cannot stay with me because you won't pay rent. If you know that person, right, you know their capacity, don't allow them to do what you don't really want them to do just for the sake of relationship. You'll get other relationships. Okay. And you can train people on how to relate to you with these rules. No, you can't borrow $20 because you don't have a job. You have to be careful about how people approach you because it'll keep you more together in the end. It'll keep your world more fastened. You won't be coming unraveled so often. And how many of us know we definitely don't want to come unraveled, not by any means, especially not going into next year. Enough is enough. We've had an interesting year, haven't we? So we definitely don't need people doing the worst. All right. So let's go. Next one. Boundaries create standards. Boundaries are your standards. You know, I've always heard this saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Same thing with your boundaries. If you don't have any standards for your life, you don't have any standards for how you operate, you don't have any standards for who you date, you don't have any standards for who you talk to on the phone, you have standards for where you go, where you appear, and what you allow yourself to do. You know, people will automatically assume that you are a person with little principle. Okay, so this is so imperative because people make judgments based on what standards you allow for yourself. So having high standards will create an environment where people will respect you. They'll respect that environment. They'll respect your judgment. They'll respect your yes. They'll respect your no because they know that you really mean business. These are your standards, and the right people will start approaching you the right way because of your standards. It is so important to have those standards because they're like the foundation by which you operate. They're like, I don't go under that. I don't go above that. This is what I'm about. Either get with the program or get out. And this doesn't have to make you a bad person. It doesn't have to make you someone that you're not. You could still be somebody very, very much a lover of people, very open, right? Very, very much someone who shares and gives, but you have standards that create a better system for you. Okay? Next, they keep you safe. Boundaries keep you safe. You know, safety is very important. We're all wearing these masks nowadays, right? We got the masks on, social distancing and all that so that we could be protected from the corona. If you don't wear a mask, if you don't do XYZ, you're not washing your hands, there's so many things you're not doing to help yourself stay hygienic, then there's a chance that you may not be being as safe as you could. Boundaries create a safer environment. Emotionally, you'll be safe, so you'll be doing less worrying and less crying, right? Then physically, if we allow people to run us ragged, they will. I've talked about this on a couple of the other lives. People will run you down, kill you in the end if you are not careful because they'll take as much as they can and not put anything back in. They'll take deposits. They'll take withdrawals rather and not make deposits. And therefore, physically, you find that yourself is depleted. You'll find that you're tired more. You know, you don't have less energy. Why? Because there's a whole lot of mental gymnastics that are going on with you trying to stay safe, right? With you trying to protect yourself from people. And this is not ideal because we're created for relationship. So we don't want to protect ourselves from people. We want people to be able to come into our realm, come into our world, but we have to stay safe, or else we'll find that they're mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually depleted because you can't even pray right when you're thinking so much of what people have done to you. because you are so fractured, right? And you're so mishandled. So now you have to, think of all these bombarding thoughts when you're trying to get with God, and you can't break through. So you want to make sure that you're staying safe spiritually, mentally, emotionally. So that involves you staying safe holistically by not allowing people to do you harm. And I'm not saying that people will not hurt you, because people will definitely hurt you. We're living in this world in, a time where people are very selfish, self-centered, and what have you. So people are going to do things to you. From the dawn of time, people have hurt one another. But there's a whole lot that we can do to stay safer if we would just use boundaries. Next, boundaries repel abusers. Oh, yes. So there's people that will come along that will try to push the envelope. They'll try to abuse. They have an angle in your life where they want to take as much as they can take, and then they're out, right? They want to abuse. They have a thing where they're slick, and these people, y'all. I don't have to explain this. And what happens is when you don't have boundaries, it allows these people to slither in. Right? They get through the cracks of your love. They get through the cracks of those boundaries, or the lack thereof. They get through with your emotions. They play on your emotions. They play on your spirituality. They play on your niceties and your kindness. Well, when you have boundaries, it's like a safety net, right? And sometimes your boundaries need to be like a brick wall. They need to be like a straight up brick wall that does not allow certain things to happen. Right? So you will not be abused. It's something we need to teach our children so that they will not be mishandled by anybody. It's because they have boundaries. They have rules. I'm going to teach you how to treat me. I don't allow this. This is disallowable in my world. You are breaking a rule by coming at me like that, or by trying this. So people will understand, no, I don't go for that. So any abuser, anybody set up in their mind as a taker and not a giver, will not be able to come into your life. They'll see you and they'll flee. They'll run the other direction, because now whatever is on the inside of you and what's in them does not line up. And so we don't agree. And therefore, one day you're just going to leave because you're not getting your way. I'm not giving you your way. I'm not giving in to your nonsense. So you all see how this is a safety net, how this protects you from evils and from people that are no good to you. And I'm not saying that all these people that have done you wrong have been evil and all that. No, it's just that we forgot to teach them how to treat us. So it's very important going forward that we take this seriously. Still be you. Be the person that everybody loves and adores and wears your heart on your sleeve and what have you, if you feel like that's what you want to be. But at the same time, protect yourself. Use boundaries. Teach people how to treat you. Love yourself. Don't love your neighbor more than you love yourself, but as you love yourself. That is going to teach everybody what you're all about. Keep you safe, and you will be moving forward unhindered. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to giving you guys one more or two more this month. And I'll see you then.